Okay, so welcome to the session. Cecilia, one more question.
Yes.
I am, when is the session end time? So I want to take, is it 11 or 11:15? What
You
are
have
we?
1 hour.
11.
So we
1
are
hour. Okay.
5 minutes into, but we have a break.
Yes,
So
yes, of course.
yeah.
All right, perfect. So welcome everybody to the session. I can see here about, I don't know, 15, 20 people, which is kind of exciting to see you all. And today we are going to do something a little different. Hi, Belinda. Nice to see you. We are going to say something a little different. We are not going to be focused 100% in Power BI, which I usually tend to do. We are going to reach out to Power Automate. So we'll see how things go. Not everything is going to be demoed as I planned because apparently I can't show some stuff in the Microsoft tenant. So sorry about that, but I'll do my best to still have as many demos as possible. And we can also explore other options and talk the demos through. So you can also do it online. What would be the most important thing to me following this session is for you, first of all, to get to know instructor-led training. Yes, again, promotion for this, for the training options, and also be able to create your first Power Automate. Except for Belinda, any other people who have experience with Power Automate, not Power BI, Power Automate as well? You can either put it in the chat or just raise your hand or kind of smile or do any other advanced team stuff. Just a little, okay? Okay, Anash, yes, okay, wonderful. Joseph, sorry. Almost none, not with Power BI. Okay, that's good. So this will be very introductory for Power Automate because this was since it is Data Geeks, I kind of assumed that this would be the case. So that's great that I'm ready to the right lecture. Me, okay. Kevin now is going to destroy everything. So Kevin, if you want to help me in the process, this would be awesome. So a little bit about me. I'm a PM in Microsoft. I'm a former data platform MVP. I love sharing my insights, and those are all the ways to communicate with me. LinkedIn, my email, I believe in Microsoft is also here, and PBI training is the page that is hosting all the Power BI instructor-led training, and there are other trainings as well for the Power Platform. So agenda. First, I will shamelessly use the time for instructor-led training promotion. Then I'll do Power BI and Power Automate intro, which doesn't mean I'm doing a lengthy intro about Power BI. So know what is Power BI, but what is Power Automate, because I suppose that this is something that you guys want to hear. And then we'll explore some options about Power BI to Power Automate and Power Automate to Power BI. And this would be, I will basically show the screens and how to get started and how to do things. And the last steps will be business process mapping. I mean, how do we even start? How do we even arrive into those types of conclusions? So what are my options to begin training with Power BI, by the way, with Power Automate as well? So first of all, we have instructor-led training. This is something that I lead, and this is a training that can be downloaded by instructors. And of course, instructors and attendees download this training, and they can later, the instructors can set up anytime they want. They can charge money for it, and they can just simply use our content. The only two things we are requesting is to know when the training is going to be, because we want to know how many trainings we have got with the training, with the content, and feedback of how to improve the content. We had sometimes the content is not exactly what expected, something is wrong, so this is constantly approved. We invest a lot of money and effort into making the content great each time. We have self-paced learning, which is Microsoft Learn and LinkedIn Learning. And you can basically have any other platform such as Coursera, Udemy, edX, you name it. But of course, we recommend the Microsoft Learn because Learn is free of charge. You basically go to the course and start your training. We have the certification training. This is not connected to instructor-led training. It is, however, very much connected to Learn. And I do recommend getting certification. Cecilia here, Belinda, myself, all of us have tons of certifications. It used to help helped me before joining Microsoft to get projects and get contracts with potential employers. So it is very recommended to do so. And it is a Microsoft certification, so you of course need the preparation fitting that. In your organization, there might be trainings, and you also can use the instructor-led training inside your organization. You don't have to deliver something to the community or something paid for. It can be something that is inside your organization. Download the training and edit. And of course, the videos. Guy in a Cube is the most famous one for this, but Kent Weir from the CAT team in Power Platform records a lot of videos, and not just him. There are a lot of Power Automate videos out there. So those of you who like learning stuff from Guy in a Cube should probably check the other communities too, and we will dwell to this as well. We have also one thing I did not mention is for more advanced usage, which will be the user groups and the docs. Docs has, yes, thank you, Belinda. Docs has all the information and all the content, and all the content that you need as an advanced user. I would not recommend to start your journey with Docs, because you first of all need to get into the things and either do a self-paced training or training with one of the instructors. So all the links are right here. Belinda have added the Guy in a Cube. All the links are right here. Cecilia, I'm not sure how to put this presentation in the download mode so we can share it with everybody else, because this one is not on LinkedIn right now. And all right, so Power BI. So before Power BI and Power Automate, I wanted to explore those specific links. So we'll start with the Power Automate community. We are not going to review the Power BI community, because I suppose you know the Power BI community. So Power Automate community is just as colorful as Power BI community. We can connect with peers, shares video, and have a lot of expert opinion about things. So it's very similar to what you see in Power BI. It might be overwhelming if you just come into the community. However, there are a lot of links and a lot of opportunity to learn and continue your journey. In the Power BI instructor-led training is this page. Magic. Okay. Power BI instructor-led training. This is the page. You have here all the courses that I have discussed previously that you can download and train yourself, or or as an attendee to download as a complementary to your training. Dashboard in a Day, of course, is the most famous of those. And additional, we have got the Power Platform training in the Power Platform training labs, which also contains all the labs and all the in-a-day content. Right now, it is going to be upgraded as well to more pages are to come. So please go ahead and explore your options here. All right, back to the presentation. So this is a slide that I show in each and every presentation that I give. This is the slide that says that Power BI is no longer an only child. It has the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent, and those tools were added together, and they share a data set. Of course, this is what the cat is going to do if I'm presenting. Salem. Okay. So eventually, what is the most important thing here is that, okay, highly recommended Reza. Yes, Reza Dorani is another great tutorials for Power BI. Yes, of course, that's. There are other, we have Slalom content, we have Radacad, we have many others. If I mention all of them, it's going to take around 15 minutes just to read the names. So thank you. Anybody feel free to share, I believe, those types of links. So Power Automate, together with Power BI and Power Apps Virtual Agent, using something that is a common infrastructure on the bottom of it, which means, first of all, the data connectors. And there's going to be a slide with colorful data connectors, just like Power BI. We have portals, which is a new capability, a new feature to be able to build the portals. We have the AI Builder. Who has ever played with the AI Builder? Somebody? Okay, I have, there is a very nice presentation about AI Builder and a lab about AI Builder that recognizes images of teas. I have got with Canada Goose image recognition. There are tons of stuff that you can do with that. And Dataverse. Dataverse, I have left it for the last one. So first of all, we have got a training of Dataverse for teams. And the second thing that you need to know, the Dataverse is something you have to have and have to know if you want to use Power Automate. Because where is going to, thanks, Belinda, where is going to be all your data stored when you are actually doing something, when you are actually doing something in Power Automate or in Power Apps? All the data is going to be stored inside your Dataverse. You can think about it as a database that you need to configure and an environment that you need to configure, and we'll get to the slides next. That needs to happen before you even start working with your tool set. So Dataverse is it becomes more and more important as you progress throughout the Power Platform, if you're doing more than just Power BI. Alrighty. Next one. So Power BI, and this is a slide that we present in Dashboard in a Day and so on. Power BI has a large global footprint. It has translated to 43 languages, and it has more than 40 data centers worldwide, and it has even national clouds. So you all know those wonderful features and how they can help you in your job and in adding value and in marketing internally Power BI to your clients or inside your job. However, there is also the Power Automate. So in order to follow the Power Automate, the second tool that we are exploring today, we can go to some of the community that I have presented, but we can also go Power Automate news on the blog, same as we have the Power Automate, the Power BI blog post that Jay posts every month. So there is a similar thing for Power Automate. There is also a Power Automate tutorial YouTube channel. I really hope that you are going to see all my, no, come on, artistic gymnastics visuals. By the way, so Audrey Gordon is doing all those YouTube videos that are available for all. So one of the ways to start with Power Automate would be to go to this YouTube channel and just get started with those things. And there are other YouTube series that are helping you with bits and pieces of how to start and how to go through the basic Power Automate, functionalities and usabilities. And of course, the Power Automate product roadmap, which will make sense once you get to know the product a little more. There is this famous slide of Power BI drivers as a data culture for everyone and every decision, data-driven decision support, all data for everyone for every decision. And what is Power Automate in the context of this? Holistic end-to-end intelligent automation platform for all. So if you can see the parallel, Power Automate is before that. It's in the process automation. It is not already the data-driven decision support. Now we need to basically automate whatever the business is doing and whatever is being the core activities of the business to make sure that we can support the business in whatever they need. So Power Automate vision is a little different than the Power BI vision. People should only have to focus on tasks where they can bring unique human value. Their potential is limitless, but their time is not. So we are saving time by data-driven decision support in Power BI. We are saving time and we are acting a little bit differently in the Power Automate realm. So what we are doing with Power Automate, we take a process of some kind and we edit it in order to automate it. Now, how is it connected to Power BI? Of course, every process is creating some kind of data or is updating or is working with data and with things that were created by people. So this is how we are processing with that. And I promised this slide, right? I promised it in the beginning when we talked about what I would like you to know about Power Automate. So more than 300 app connectors. So we have a lot of connectors in Power Automate, just like Power BI. Most of them are correlated and are the same connectors to the same processes. However, not all of them. So you would be surprised sometimes that something is connected in Power Automate, not connected in Power BI. But most of them, like the major ones, for example, Twitter or PowerPoint or Acrobat Reader and so on, are very much connected. And you can basically think about it as you think about Power BI. We get data, we connect to data, and we do something with the data in order to create those graphs for the insights. The same thing you can think about Power Automate. We have a process. So a process is starting it has a beginning, has some kind of a processing, that this is the added value of the process, and has an end. So it has input, processing, and output. Very computer scientist oriented. So the input and the output might be the input and the output are might be to so many different, more than 300 applications and other systems. That being said, sometimes there are limitations, of course, and this is where you come and you need, as a person that works with Power Automate, to understand what is the limitation and how you can fix it and work around it. But as a whole, there are already out-of-the-box features. Additionally, we have got a library of templates. So there are over 100 of templates, and now it's much more. Actually, it's over 200 templates. I should have fixed that. That are available in Power Automate. That means that you have already got a process that was configured for you. What that means? That means that you have got a process from an application, some basic processing, into an application. So now you ask, so how does it know what I wanted to do? For example, you have tweeters. You want to tweet about let's say the Olympics, and you want all your tweets that are recorded about the Olympics to generate a task in Outlook and to generate a line in Power BI dataset. Why do you want to do it? Because you want to follow up how many tweets have you generated about the Olympics and what is your rating. So this is something that Power Automate has already got automated for you, from Twitter to Outlook and to Power BI. And this is the only things you need to do is log into Twitter, Outlook, and Power BI from your Power Automate tenant, and later on configure the fields. So, for example, is the whole text going to be included? The date of the tweet, the time of the tweet, is it going to be included in the dataset, or you just want number of tweets and word cloud? Like what exactly is going to happen there? So what you need to do is to connect to the specific localizations and to the specific definitions, and this is one of the things that we are going to see in the demo soon enough. All right, so how does it work for Power BI? We all know this slide about the database and the connectors and the necessity to know who and who can edit, permissions. Then we get the design the Power BI report and publish the Power BI report. How does it work in Power Automate? So in Power Automate, we have got a connection to it is, first of all, built on the building blocks of Dynamics and Office 365. So it has automation components from both. So in Power Automate, we have got a common data service that is at Dataverse right now. Sorry, I did not update the slide. It's data service right now that is on the backbone of this. All the connections for the applications. And on top of that, the automation component, which is Power Automate and RPA. I've talked about something that is called environments. So let me get my, okay, just a second. I'm going to my Office 365 because I can show it to you in the Microsoft tenant. So give me 1 second, please. All right. And then where is the admin settings? Okay. Right, I believe we switched to the Microsoft. All right. So when you go to your Office 365 tenant and you go to Power Automate, this is the screen that it's. Okay, Polly had a question. So before I continue with this, confused about the difference between Power Automate and Power Apps flows. So Power Automate is basically flow. In Power Automate, you create the flows. So when you go to Power Automate in your home screen, this is what you are getting in Office 365. And this is the way you can create a flow. Power Apps has Power Apps has an ability to also create a flow within Power Apps. Just like today, I'm talking about Power BI, who has the ability to, which has the ability to create Power BI, Power Automate flows. Does that answer your question? So it's the same technology, it's just called from another tools, another tools. It's the same processing technology. Polly, hope it answered the. Okay, so this is what is the confusing, and also sometimes naming convention changes, such as Dataverse that is now called our database. Again, apologies to slides that were not updated. I will update them and only then publish the presentation. All right, so when we are here, we are right here. I really hope that you can see, I'm pointing with my finger, with my mouse on something that is called the environment. So in something that is called the environment, this is exactly what we need to create prior to even going to work with Power Automate. Same thing goes with Power Apps. Why the hell do we need this environment? Because we need an environment where we can save inside the Dataverse all the data that is being created and generated throughout inside the Power Automate. Now, in order for Power Automate to work with Power BI, Power BI works with data, right? So which data is it going to connect to? The data that is going to be in Dataverse, or the data from Dataverse is going to be updated inside the Power BI dataset. Depends on the case, depends on how we are working with it, and so on. So how do we create this famous environment? So for as you can see, I have several environments here. This is my default environment. There is Power BI environment and another environment that is for testing. And this is my personal tenant. And I created from the Office 365 Admin Center. And I need administrative privileges. If I can't create this environment, I need to be given an environment from my system administrator. And it is very important because if we create a table inside Dataverse, think of Dataverse as a big database, and you have specific tables for the content that you would like to store. I might create something that my friend or my colleague created, and then we are going to save the data on top of each other, which is not very a good idea. For the templates, so this is, we will get into Power BI. Let's get with the demo together because I can see otherwise we won't be able to go through all the screens. So I explained before about the templates. We said 100 plus, now it's around more than 200 templates that are available in Power Automate. So to search for all the templates, for example, everything that was created with Power BI, we will go and we'll type Power BI in the search window. So all of this, you don't even need to think how and which steps and how to connect, and if you need specific steps in the flow, it is already ready for you. So we can choose something very complicated like Excel Online Business Row if Power BI alert is not on a specific day, or we can choose one of the easiest one with Excel. There is also things that are more complicated that you can add AI. And there are even third-party tools such as let's add stuff in Slack through the Power Automate. What does it mean? That it basically gets the data from your Power BI and moves the data after manipulation if needed. For example, changing dates, for example, changing, adding rows, sorting, and so on into the repository that it needs to be. So I have selected, I believe this one, update Power BI dataset when a SharePoint file is updated. And when you click on this, this is what's happening. And so the site address is the site, okay, of course, we need help right now, that's for sure. The site that we want to discover. So we can have, for example, this one, and we can get a SharePoint library name. And in SharePoint library, if there is a folder, we will get a folder name if we have a folder that is specific to our library. And list row presented in a table. So I hope that I have, this is exactly the demo problem. So here, just a second, where did I put the Excel file? Because I put it in my work SharePoint and not in my personal SharePoint, and I'm not sure I can show it to you. And yeah, so basically here there will be an Excel table in an Excel file. So in order to show this, in order for this to be showing up, we need the Excel table to be in a table format. We can't just use an Excel. It can recognize the data sheet, but there might be issues about it. So let's go to the just data set that I've created in Excel. Created is a very strong word. I copied from Wikipedia the results from the Olympics and just pasted them into spreadsheet. Now, can I work with this? This is the results per each country, how many medals each country has got. Can I work with this as is? No, because I do need to format it as a table. And for those of you who probably are familiar with this, this is something that is done through Excel. Now, in Excel, you can already start and make this, like, for example, make this data type numbers and do other conversions that we do in Power BI, but I prefer to do all those type of manipulations inside Power BI already and not in Excel. Up to you. The Excel file can be stored in your SharePoint site, and then we can add this Excel file, and this was the plan to show you up here, and then apply to each row. This is the loop that is already was designed. I did not do that, and it is going to be added into a specific data set in Power BI. So unique identifier to data set. So whenever we have got the data set, no item, okay. Whenever we have got a data set in a specific workspace and a table in a specific workspace. Again, I set it up in my work account by mistake, and this is the result. Yes, very useful, especially to use flow processing for Outlook triggers. Exactly. Yes, Kevin, thank you. And Outlook trigger can be even here. So there can be another step just after it inserts the data from the Excel file. If I add into this Excel file any other entry, for example, Linoy Ashram from Israel won the gold medal yesterday for gymnastics, artistic gymnastics. It's my favorite sport to watch, and I'm very happy. So I want to add to my table in Excel that Israel has got another gold medal, which is amazing. And as a result, after that, I'm adding it in Excel. Now, the Power BI the Power BI dataset will get it automatically because I am triggering this flow. However, it can be an additional step. I could have designed a Power Up that I would have manually added there in the Power Up interface, the name of the country and the number of medals and which type of medal it is. And with this interface, it would have been even easier for me to add, instead of going to the Excel file, looking for it, pasting it in the wrong tenant, and so on. So Kevin, a great remark about the Outlook, because this gives us another step. Yes, So Microsoft Office 365 Outlook, right here, we can create content, we can create event. So if we go back to the whole medal situation, we can create an event that we need to check. We need to celebrate the gold medal if it is from from countries. So for me, it would be USA, Israel, Canada, or Russia. So either of those 4 countries, I will go celebrate the gold medal, right? So this can be an event that is triggered, or of course we can have a message and so on. So as you can see, we have got here. Let's get event just because this is the first one. There we go. So while it is creating the event, I would like to show you what have we used in this process. So first of all, we have used SharePoint when a file is created or modified. In this case, the file is modified because I've added the gold medal. Instead of this, I could have done something else, which is I could have triggered it by the power up. So I would have then created an up flow. I believe Polly has mentioned that. And I would have created an up flow. When you push the buttons in power up, then this gold medal is added into the Excel that lives in SharePoint. The Excel then applies for each, triggers the next action by flow, applies for each, added to the Power BI dataset. Then Outlook is creating a celebration event for the medal that was achieved. Process flow is clear, I hope. It is kind of all out there, but that is showing how it is better together to do that instead of updating in the Excel, updating in the Power BI, creating an event in Outlook separately, and the Power Apps upgrade, of course, pending. Hope this was the whole goal of the lecture, to make sure that you guys understand how they can work together and where do you start completing them together. I have here a very small red dot, and this is the flow checker. And I will, when I get back to the presentation, I will talk to you a little bit about the whole QA process. Unlike in Power BI, then when something goes wrong, you have got, for example, what have I not done here in this previous prototype? What I haven't done to the data? Why does it looks like this? I wanted to display total medals by country. What happened here? Why is it not displaying it? No, Power BI expert, please be with me. What happened here? Okay, might be relationship, but this is from the same table. So the axis is country and values is count of total. It's a number, yes. It's a number, but it's not a number field. I did not reformatted it later on. I did that, but it's not a number field type. Yes, later on, of course, I did that, but at the beginning, I did not do that. And this is why Power BI didn't even know that the number of medals is actually a number in the table. Does Power BI alert me about this? Does Power BI saying something or just anything? Unless it's a DAX formula, then we have the little red lines for text checkers, and we have the DAX formula checker. We won't know. So this DAX formula checker is not going to help us here. So nope, we are not going to know about that. However, because this is not a formula of any kind. However, in Power Automate, this is Firefox. Yes. So in Power Automate, we have the errors. So list of errors of what went wrong with the Power Automate. It's not just, okay, it didn't flow. We have no idea why. And here table is required. So I did not complete the specific table in the action items. Then also add row to the dataset. Dataset is required. Remember, I did not find the dataset. So dataset is required for this. Otherwise, I cannot run this specific flow. So this is a very important flow checker. And when you can run the flow, what is it also going to tell you is if it was able to run successfully or not. So you would be able to trigger the flow manually and or not manually, and you will be by design, like by adding this item to the Excel file, and then you will be able to go through the flow and see if it had done what it was supposed to do or it did not do what it was supposed to do. So this is one more thing for you to consider when you are working with Power Automate, how to work with it correctly. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to emphasize here is about Microsoft Forms. So I've seen that Cecilia used Microsoft Forms when we register to promote all the sponsors, which is, by the way, a awesome idea. So from these forms that promoting all the sponsors, Cecilia can trigger flows that are going to be sending emails to all those sponsors and to create those types of relationship with the email address that I provided when I registered to the page. And it also can go to a Power BI dataset, and I really hope that there is a report like this of how many people actually opted in to get information from the sponsors, were entered to the raffle, and so on. And with this data, it can be and with this data, you can actually create the data visualization in reports in Power BI. So those were your basically small review of how do you do from Power Automate to Power BI. Let's get back to our presentation. Yes, I think this was our presentation, but we were already here. So I emphasized the environments. I've emphasized how to get started. In order to go to your environments, you need to go to the Power Platform Admin Center. You are creating a new environment, and you're specifying also your region. This is very important. If you are working with Azure AI, for example, or with any other kind of Azure application, it has to be the same region. If it's not the same region, there's going to be a problem there. So as an administrator, there are things to consider around it, and those things are taught in the RPA in a Day course, Robotic Process Automation in a Day. So you're welcome to join, or of course, the Learn self-paced mode. And let's go next. So option to create a database for the environment. So please use the default for please use either Sandbox or use the whole product environment in order to create the Dataverse, in order to create this data, because all those runs. Remember when I have talked about a Power BI data set that is being updated, and I talked about the Excel that is updating, and I talked about, and Kevin added the Outlook option that we can add there and how useful it is. So all those runs, all those names, all those stored items before they go to the Power BI dataset, to Outlook, or to anywhere else, they are saved in the Dataverse database, because all those transactions need to be saved. At the end of the day, this is a transaction that happened internally. Oh, sorry. Secure access to the environment. Same as you've got security for Power BI, you can secure on the dataset level, you can secure on the on your work on your workplace level. You can secure on specific group or what exactly is going to happen. And you can even add conditional securities. You need to secure your environment in Power your environment before you start working with Power Automate. Again, an important thing for you to consider. Okay, so what makes a flow? First of all, we've got a trigger. Yes, live survey results. That's true, Kevin. Live survey results. This is a demo that I've done in several places already. This is basically, I put a link in the in the chat. Then everybody is answering the survey, and then you have live survey results. This is another implications that can happen with Power BI and Power Automate together. And because, okay, so trigger, action, and conditional logic. This is what makes the flow. So first of all, something needs to trigger. You cannot create a flow without a trigger. It can be a scheduled trigger. Remember that at the beginning we chose if we want to schedule flow or not schedule flow. Then we have got an action, what is actually happening, and the conditional logic. And this would be, okay, it's only going to happen if actually gold medal was won, or if actually one of the 4 countries that I specified, which is Israel, Canada, Russia, and USA, are going going to win any type of medals. Otherwise, there is no event that is the celebration in the Outlook is not created. So this is a conditional logic that can be added. So those three components are the components of your flow. Now, three types of trigger. We have got the manual action, push the button, press the flow. And this is one of the interaction that usually is happening with Power BI. If you push a Power BI button, then flow is triggered and things are happening. Run on schedule. So every day the flow will go check the medal results and in the Wikipedia website, and will come back and trigger the action of creation of the of updating the Excel, creation of the Outlook event, and perhaps updating the Power BI data set on schedule. So if right now Lino Ashram won the medal, it's not going to know. It is only going to know at midnight when it is going to run. Run based on an event that happens in a cloud or on-prem service. For example, more than 1,000 tweets about Olympics and Israel in together. So it will go and search for those hashtags of Olympics and Israel together, and in all the tweets, in all the accounts that I'm subscribed to, and then at the end of the day, it will decide, 1001, yeah, 1000 tweets were happening. Perfect. I'm not waiting for 1001. I am making the celebration. That probably most likely means that Israel won some kind of a medal in the competition. So those are the examples for the different triggers that can happen in flow. The action can be a flow action, any number of steps that run after the triggers. And conditional logic is, as I already explained, we choose only the countries that we want, or we choose only the condition that the medal was won before 10 p.m. because after this, 10 p.m. Pacific time, because after this, there is nobody to celebrate. We are all going to sleep. Not much nightlife in Seattle, just saying. Those building blocks make a Power Automate flow: trigger, action, and conditional logic. So for us, the trigger was adding something into the Excel file. Then the action was update the Power BI report, and the conditional and also another action suggested by Kevin to add in Outlook the event. And the condition that the event, I did not show you the condition in the demo. I will not go back to that screen. Sorry about that. The condition is only if the medals are for one of those four countries. There is another component to that, which is the RPA and the UI flow. And this is something you will learn more in the RPA in a Day course, or in Learn, whatever you prefer to as your go-to learning platform. So Power Automate has gateways, a familiar term for all of us in Power BI. Yes, it's the same thing that is installed for Power BI. It also needs to be updated, but it also it needs to be managed from the administration center. And without those gateways, of course, we cannot do some of the things. For example, I was not able to sign into my Twitter because basically my Office 365 here in Microsoft prevents that direct signature. Sorry, this was not connected because this is a cloud service. Gateway will not allow me to sign into my organizational things or in external platforms if I don't have the right gateway installed and configured correctly. So whoever works with gateways in Power BI knows about it in Power Platform. So allows UI flows and other services to run, and once registered can be managed from the cloud. So make sure that you have the correct updates for UI flows, or if you choose to run a UI Power Automate desktop. Now, I did not speak about Power Automate desktop at all. We only focused on the cloud because I will need another hour for this one. So apologies about that, but I prefer users to start with the Power Automate on the cloud first and then go to the desktop. Yes, it's a good question. If Cecilia, anybody tried desktop version? Okay, I have it installed from my organization. I might be able to show you later. But now let's go to Power BI because we didn't do from Power BI to Power Automate. And this is a very important thing to do. So from Power BI to Power Automate is done in a very simple manner. You basically go here, visualization, and you drag it here. The simplest thing you can do. And then, okay, no, and then you go to this button. Okay, that is this nice. And you click on, as you can see, very similar to what we did in Power Automate, just in Power BI. Getting back to the previous explanation about Power Automate, you will be doing from Power BI the exact same thing that we did in Power Automate. So we're going to edit here. And we are waiting for it to load. All right, hallelujah. So we can create a task from Power BI, for example. We can create an item for a SharePoint from Power BI, familiar, just like we did from the Power Automate, but from Power BI, whenever the data set is changes or whenever a button is clicked. If I click the button from Power BI, that means that I need something to update. API connections, and then we can add row into a certain table that can be an API connection whenever we have the API working. So it doesn't really matter whatever we need to do. Or update an Excel table from Power BI, sending message, Outlook, and so on. So let's go to one of the configured ones. Back to report is always confusing. So let's go to one of the configured ones because I'm not going to wait for it to work. I'm going to edit this one. Okay, so what is actually happening here? And this one is creating a task from Outlook on a Power BI button click. You ask me which button is actually clicked. The button that is on the report says run Power BI flow. So, sorry, run Power Automate flow. So on Power BI button click, it can needed for the step, you will be able to use the outputs on a subsequent step. A task is created. So for example, the due date is the time step from Power BI. I can add here any type of data field or any other things. And I can go to tasks sales. This is a subject that I've chosen, but I can choose any other dynamic subject. And I can choose subject from my dataset if I've got datasets in there active. And then I can set up reminder, start date, due dates, all those kind of things with the right formulas on them, and create the task with the body and the title, just like we would create in any other manner. Now, here I can add a new step, just like I added in there, just like I added before inside inside the Power Automate separately. So right here, the condition can be if yes and if no, just like in every if statement. So not sure what is connected here. So in if yes, for a condition. So I'm just a second choosing a value. So if assign 2 is equal to then if it's assigned to me, to my user, then if yes, there is a step that, for example, I want to add the second point, add attachment, no. Okay, add a row into the table, the same table, I can choose the table in the location. No, come on. No, it's still loading. Group test Yana, there we go. So in this document library that I want to search in the documents, I have a file that I'm supposed to see here. All right, and I want to add this in table 1. I can name the tables as well in Excel. And country, total, gold, silver, bronze. So if the task is assigned to me, that means that I have it's supposed that I have a task to create an event, and now I can do the condition here in Power BI. I do not need to go to Power Automate. So same I can do inside Power Apps. Power Apps flow. I do not need to go to Power Automate, create an automation, and then call the automation from Power Automate. No, I can simply go here in Power Apps or in Power BI and create the Power Automate automation process flow from the Power BI platform. So this is how we do Power Apps. Wonderful. Power Automate inside Power BI. Power Apps inside Power BI also is available, and many people have done that before. Now, how do we run it? When there is a button that simply says Run Flow. So this is all we need. When we run in the Power BI report, we can click on it, and it will add the row according to the condition if the condition is met. Now, let's go back to our presentation and get to the last part, which is from business process to Power BI report. So yes, I was supposed to get to this part about 10 minutes ago, but let's speak very, very fast and see how things are going. And so in here, what is we from business process to Power BI report, and this is a slide from other Power BI presentations, and we talk about it in our advanced data visualization course. We learn about the audience needs. We create a rapid prototype. We have a user feedback. We build visuals in the tool. We have, again, user feedback and so on. So when we want to learn about the audience need, our questions are who, what, when, where, how many, and why. And those are the WH questions that we need to ask our audience and our users. And then we're using storyboards in order to, in order to plan the proof of concept. Now, we will start the report with sample data just to make sure that we're working on a smaller data set. Now, this is a very general process. It's just to help the people who are business analysts and who are process designers they know this type of process. So now this makes the connection into Power BI world for those people. And for people who are working mostly as developers, DBAs and report designers, those things help to change the way you think about Power BI reports. So you don't start by opening Power BI and thinking what can be cool to make, but doing something a little bit differently. There are other methodologies. So okay, so there are other methodologies and that are around it, but it's all based on Agile, and there are also many content by tons of MVPs and that are explaining this process in more details. And if we're going to the next, to the other one, from business process to Power Automate flow, then we are asking, the core is the same. Learn about your audience, map the process, use user feedback for the process, build and test process to the tool, and get another user feedback, which is pretty much the same. But first of all, we need to ask the question, what is to be automated? Just like we're asking with Power BI, and what is the goal of the visualization, we are asking what is to be automated. Then we have top questions are also where from and what for. So where from, it's about the connections and the data connections. We can say that those things apply to Power BI, but Power BI, sometimes you can create a data set and sometimes you get the way of the data set was already created for you. In Power Automate, you don't have such luxury because you need to be able to connect. If you can't connect, there is a problem. And this is where one of the things that you start. And also start with the scope of the process. Sometimes you have another condition and another process and another process, and suddenly it doesn't work at all. And there is a reason for that. Maybe you should have done it with several separate processes. Think about it the same way as suddenly you end up with a Power BI report with 15 visuals on the page. Something probably went wrong in your decision-making process when you created this Power BI. Probably, again, each case their own stuff. Same about cluttering your process. Maybe you need to create process and several sub-processes that call each other. Maybe there is another way to do it. So think about those things before you start actually using the tool. And use flowchart to plan what is in the process. So we did the demos already. Let's go to process mapping. In RPA in a day, you are going through something that is called invoice processing. With invoice processing, you work with other labs as well, with invoices, for example, Power Virtual Agent in a day. So this is another opportunity to work with this process. It's a pretty straightforward process. What is the invoice processing? I can basically describe the process to you. I have an invoice that I bought something somewhere. I take a picture with my phone of that invoice and I'm sending it as an email. After this, the invoice is processed as OCR. Maybe it's not just an email sent. Maybe I need to submit it with a forum application, legacy system, or Power App, where I need to state the business and state the GST amount and state the amount that was paid, the tax amount, sorry, and the amount that was paid, or it is processed automatically by OCR. Then I need to store it in a repository, all this transactional. Then I need to report on it. I need to follow a certain budget. Did I spend all the flying budgets for my Microsoft, the department in Microsoft that I work for, or did I leave something for other people as well to fly around the world? Unfortunately, all conventions now are online, so no more flying. Then create end of year report and make sure that I submitted all my tax benefits, invoices, and so on for the organization. And this is how it's going to look like in if you are considering the next step, which is prototyping, which technologies are going to be, which applications are going to be. Remember, we are adding also where from and where to, and what is going to be the process inside this, not that is in addition to what you will do in Power BI. So you need to use the AI builder for the OCR processing, the Outlook, the email trigger. You need to use Teams because you probably want to trigger it from Teams as well, not just from Outlook as a message, the invoice processing. You need to do the Power Automate. Then you need to do maybe UI flows. This is something, another technology. And maybe you need to use another repository for legacy software. Not always there. Okay. Wow. Okay, Joseph, maybe you'll unmute yourself and describe the question. Okay, never mind. So we have Power. Okay. We have Power Apps that can be used in Power BI to edit data directly within Power BI, and now Power Automate to carry out process based on actions within Power BI. You can also do some of those things separately with Power Automate and Power Apps, respectively. Yes, it can get a bit tricky for a beginner to know where, yes, the best to do what and learn all those platform tools. But it's good that platforms are so connected, intertwined. Haven't even thought of looked into RPA yet. Okay, so RPA is part of Power Automate. So this is something desktop something Power Automate desktop is something that I would recommend to install and try it out. And yes, all the platforms are intertwined, and it is sometimes confusing. And it is why we still need business analysts and product managers and so on to understand the tools and to understand what is needed. So to understand those two things, this process flow, how do you actually map the process flow to what needs to be achieved, and this process flow, what is the best tool for each step of the process. And after you understand, you combine them and you can build them already. But first of all, you need to characterize and choose the right tools for the subject. Maybe you don't have all the tools, so then you prioritize, and what is your scope and what are your limitations, legacy systems, for example, and so on. Other questions?
I don't see questions in the chat.
Yes, I answered all the questions that were in the chat during the conversation.